Hello, y'all, and welcome to another episode of the Hot Girls Healing Podcast. I'm your host, Salenna Green. Y'all, today is such a special and frankly vulnerable episode of the Hot Girls Healing Podcast. It's also a hot girl panel, okay? So these are special anyway. But the topic is also so tender. Today, y'all, we are talking about friendship breakups. This was a highly talked about topic. It's something that every single time I proposed it to my audience or my community, and I was like, "Hey y'all, like, should I talk about this? Is this something you have experience with? You got a story?" We got stories. We got trauma. We over here healing. That being said, I'm going to get into a conversation with three amazing people in the community right out here in the Pacific Northwest, where we live in our best lives, building community with each other, and yes, experiencing friendship breakups. Y'all, I'm so grateful to have you here with me today. As I said, like, I feel really tender, and like right before I hit anxiety, y'all, I was telling them that like I feel a little bit nervous. Like I didn't feel nervous before, but right when it was time to hit record, like I don't know. So we just here being vulnerable and sharing our experiences. This is definitely something that other people can relate to. So come on in, y'all. Settle down. We getting into it. Can my wonderful panel members please introduce yourself to the people? Tell them a little bit about what you do and like in the community, I guess, and then we'll get into our conversation. Lindsay, can we start with you?
I'm always the first one. No, my name is Lindsay Hill. I am a community healer. I do breath work. I create events that are specifically geared towards Black people. And I work in nonprofit. So I mainly work with young people, but I really strive to support the whole family, focusing on generational trauma.
Yes. Also, shout out to Lindsay because she also works to heal the healers, y'all. And there's not enough people out here doing that specific work. So, okay, Rashwanda.
Hi everyone. I'm Rashwanda. I do a lot of different things, but they all surround empowering women through jewelry. I'm a jewelry designer. I am a creative director. I'm a community organizer. I mean, there's just so much that I do, but the core of it is I find multiple ways to empower women.
Yes. And that's on self-love.
Yes.
Angelica.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angelica Barksdale. I am a multidisciplinary artist, meaning I literally span the gamut of what I like to do. I am a singer. I am a dancer. It's making its way back. I write. Right now, my current medium of choice is photography. It's called Barksdale Jones Photography. I am building that business in that this is my first time actually building a business, and so I'm proud and nervous all at the same time. The main focus of that particular business is to be able to create a life that I like, and being able to make those who I photograph actually feel seen in the way that they should feel seen. That is what I
Absolutely. And I will say you're also one of the photographers who like helped me have faith in Seattle photographers again. Because y'all, it was rough for a minute. Everybody wanted to talk about Instagram models. Then nobody wanted to talk about Instagram photographers. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. Yeah, the friendship breakup. It's hard. I genuinely feel like, because I don't really be like, even before I was married, I didn't really like take men like we wasn't dating. So let me just say the only breakup I really feel like I've been through is a friendship breakup. Because any other time I'll just like, okay, bye. But friendship was hard. Like that was something that hit me a little bit different. I want to talk to y'all about, like, for you, what's the difference between a friendship breakup and just a disagreement amongst friends that you, like, you already know you will come back from this?
I have to say, just depending on where you are, individually and collectively, that would be surrounding your emotional intelligence. Like, are you
Mm.
giving yourself enough time to process what just happened, or are you acting out of emotion? Um,
Mm.
I feel like whatever that reaction is, that can make it a deal breaker, because it could be a disagreement, but if you don't keep your emotions in check, you know what I'm saying, it could just escalate into something different.
That's actually real. Like, I hear you. Because for me, I was thinking, mine's always about the principle. Like,
Yeah.
what are we really talking about here? Like,
Mhm.
is it disrespect? Because disrespect is, like, for me, if it's just like someone didn't know something, maybe our friendship is new. You know, I have a little bit more leeway as we're getting to know each other. For me, like, the principle of how long have you known me? How long have we shared space? Like, once I'm in a friendship longer, I feel like the stakes are maybe higher. I
Well,
don't
it's
know.
because, at this point, we have, if I, first of all, I don't share space with people for a long time. So if I'm
Mm-hmm.
sharing space with you and you sharing space with me, and I've allowed myself to be vulnerable in your space and vice versa, then because I've shared my
Mm-hmm.
most sacred spaces with you at this point. So that is different.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, if I can chime
Mm-hmm.
in, I feel like the difference between the disagreement versus a breakup, just because most breakups are gonna obviously start with some sort of disagreement. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like within the disagreement, as you mentioned, was there disrespect, and and was it deliberate?
Mm.
Because some friends, whether we share space for a long time or another, really can't see themselves a lot of times, and it is what it is. Like, that's just humans. But I feel like for me, when it's deliberate, that's when it's like, that's not a disagreement. You meant that.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, but no thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Respectfully.
Or not respectfully, but here. So yeah.
I think also is, if you are having a disagreement, like, is it where you are you in alignment as a friend anymore? Are we on the same place? I
Mm-hmm.
think sometimes it's like we end friendships because of sometimes like the personal of it, but also if somebody's coming to you with something in disagreement, and then you're like, is are we on the same page anymore? Are we growing together? Because friendships, you grow, and if you don't grow together, you guys won't be able to maintain in friendship.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And honestly, that kind of brings us to, like, what happened. Because yeah, I genuinely feel like my friendship breakup happened because we needed to grow, and the growth that we needed to do, like, we weren't going to be able to do it together. But let's get into these friendship breakups. Like, what did happen? I want to know. We could go the other way this time, Lindsay, if you want to start.
I'm open. I'll start. Um, I was married, and my ex-husband was not the nicest guy. And unfortunately, my best friend was in my wedding. She's been behind me. I was treating her almost like she was my husband, right? Because anytime I had something going on with him, I went straight to her. Anything that he did, I went straight to her. She was the person who consoled me, that gave me the emotional support. Um, and near the end of my marriage, I started doing some internal work, and she came to me because we worked together at the end of our friendship, and said, I don't like you with him. And I was like, he's my husband. I got to figure out what I'm doing with him. And then it hit me that I was using her as my support and my security, and not necessarily even figuring out what I'm doing in my marriage. So it was kind of like a line drawn. It was like choose him or me. And I chose, I, I don't know if I want to say I chose him. I chose to figure out what I was doing in my marriage because he was my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I lost my goddaughter. I lost my church. I can still go, but it's awkward because that was her church first, and she's an amazing human being. But I had to learn how to be self sufficient, and support myself, and not have somebody who was always going to take my side. Also, I grew, and I needed to grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so real. And why does, because like work was like a theme in mine too, where like I was, and it's like hard to kind of even remember, but I'm pretty sure I was like working with someone, and like my best friend, like I brought them in to the, like, it wasn't like an organization, but I like essentially brought them into the project, I'll say, that we were doing.
Mhm.
And because of like how things went in the business, or around this project, like everything kind of fell apart from there. It was like we were having these conversations that had never happened before. Me and my best friend, like, we had been friends since ninth grade.
Mhm.
And I will preface this all by saying that, like, being friends from when you're a kid is like, there's no way getting around the growth that has to happen, the
Oh.
changes, the development. There's no way getting around it. Like, I'm
Mhm.
not going to be a ninth grader forever. It's just not happening.
Mhm.
So, it was expected that, people will change, dynamics change. But I think that because we were now in this professional setting as well, like, we were both showing up as versions that maybe we hadn't actually experienced before. And that, I think, was a part of it. And so it got to the point where, for me, as I said, the principle is very, very, very important to me. And this was during the time of, the George Floyd protests and Black Lives Matter, and tensions were high and everybody feeling away. And I was even going through my own, I was starting my self-love journey during that time. And so I'm trying to figure me out, Lindsay, kind of like how you're saying. And it got to a point where I felt like, and this is where the principle comes in, my best friend is non-Black. And for me, if you are non-Black, when the conversation is about Blackness, which, yeah, of course, in the United States, everyone's affected by it. We're very influential. Our culture is like almost popularized and repackaged as American culture, even though, we'll have created it. But for me, when we're having certain conversations, I don't need non-Black people to say anything. And that's just like me. Like, that's my principle. I try to engage with conversations where it's an in-group, out-group thing, very respectfully. If I'm in the out-group, then I'm here to learn. I'm here to maybe ask a question. I'm not going to be someone who's like putting my analysis out there necessarily, because my analysis is of someone who is not a part of whatever it is. And so if I say that I ended my relationship with my best friend because I felt like they were perpetuating anti-Blackness, then that would be the absolute truth. And I had to go through my own process of being like, how does this happen? Like, how are you my best friend for, since ninth grade? How we have all these conversations, and you like don't understand like Blackness, or whatever, to my expectations. So yeah, I had to go through my own little growth journey. I didn't talk to my best friend for almost 2 years, and like during the time it was kind of hard, but for me it's a principle. Like, what am I gonna do? What you want me to do? Like, at the end of the day, I'm me. Like, I gotta be me. I have to, at this point, I was already far enough in my self-love journey where I was like, I have to protect myself, because whatever, and again, like, it was tied to a project that was blowing up and imploding. on its own. So I was like, there's a lot that I need to figure out for myself right now. And I don't have the capacity with everything that's happening in the world to even care about why or what was thought or where. Like, I don't care. I'm sorry. That's where I was.
I feel that. Like, I've had a friendship breakup and we weren't the same race, and there was just certain things that like they just don't understand. Like, some conversations is just a sit down and listen kind of conversation, and let's just not say anything because you don't have the level of understanding to understand these injustices that we faced on a
Yeah.
micro level.
Yeah.
They
And
don't
that's why I'm like, you can attach it to anything, any specific whatever you want to.
yeah.
But a lot of the times when it comes to Blackness, people feel really entitled.
Mm-hmm. They
I can fuck with non-Black people all day long. Don't feel entitled to my space, my culture. You know what I mean? Like, these are things that you get invited into. That's the difference between cultural appropriation and appreciation. So, yeah, like respect and the principle in my relationships, all of them, platonic or romantic, are has to be maintained, because Black people, we not out here with the same stakes as everybody else, and even in our relationships.
absolutely, I agree.
Can I ask you a question about that, Salenna, if you don't mind?
No, that's what we here to talk about.
So even as you're describing what's going on, and you were like, I was on my own journey, I did not have the emotional capacity to even deal with you, right? Looking back in hindsight, do you feel like that was the best decision at that time? I mean, I shouldn't say best decision. Was that the wisest thing?
I think for me, yeah, because I spend a lot of time not feeling my emotions, purposely just suppressing them because it was easier at the time. Once I got into my healing journey more of like experiencing my emotions, I was like, oh, I'm actually like kind of an emotional person. Maybe that's why I was just like not dealing with them. So I always have to go through this period where I need to process my emotions before I have certain conversations, or it's just not going to be good.
Same.
That's me.
And my husband can't stand it. Like, he's really the kind of person where he wants to like get something addressed immediately so that he can just rest and like not have to worry about it anymore. I'm like, baby, you do not want to talk to me right now.
Not right now, you know.
Yeah, because you're gonna get exactly what you asked for.
Quite literally. Like, all right.
Yeah. Now I get that though. Like, I feel like too, like even in my friendships, I deal with that too. Like, where something will happen and then they just won't hear from me. And those that know me, they're like, okay, she's processing. But if you don't know me, you're like, oh my gosh, she doesn't want to be friends anymore. Like, no, because when I have a conversation with you, because I've allowed you into my vulnerable space, I consider you almost the next thing to family.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that we're having a conversation in love and not in untamed, beastly emotions.
Look, because when it comes to people, look, I don't do disrespect well. That's all I'm gonna say.
Real.
Yeah, because the stuff that, like, do y'all watch Insecure?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so like how she like breaks down of like how she really feels in the mirror, that is me in my head. Every conversation, every time something happens, that's me in my head. So like you don't want to enter that space. So let's not.
How did that, or did that relate to your story at all, Angelica? Like your question? Because I'm like, what did
No,
you hit me with?
the only reason why I bring that up is because I personally have I dance on the line of balance when it comes to being able to honor myself,
Mm-hmm.
but understanding if even in honoring myself, that is tripping somebody else up. And though some people feel like, well, it shouldn't matter, it's you honoring yourself and that's all that matters, I don't necessarily agree with that because that's subjective to whomever you feel, that could be subject to anything. And so,
Mm-hmm.
so when I ask, I'm just like, that was some time ago, but now where you're at right now, could you look back and be like, nope, I made the right decision and I am totally okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Versus,
Yeah.
man, I could have been more gracious. You know what I mean? And so I personally, for me, I dance on that line of always just trying to make sure it's at least steady. And
Mhm.
so that's what prompted that within myself.
That's hella reflective. And I actually really appreciate that. I feel like now I have a lot more capacity, if that makes sense.
So do you think that like maybe you didn't allow yourself to be in a space to even understand what was taking place in that
I think I
situation?
couldn't. At the time, I was having really bad anxiety on my own. I was like crying because I thought someone was gonna like shoot me through the window in my home, just randomly because of how, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it was a
the
tough time.
death that we were exposed to really was fucking me up during that time. Like, I was not okay. And then, like, dealing with that and then anything on top of it, it was just too much. I was like, I gotta go. I went into complete hermit mode.
I can
Had to,
understand that because I actually moved here the year that George Floyd was killed by the police officers in Minnesota.
mm,
So as I'd only been here for a couple months, as all this stuff is happening, they're rioting, they're looting, like we're literally. I'm trying to figure out like how am I going to explain this to my black son? What's going on? Because it's happening like in real time right now here where we are. Like the streets here in Minneapolis looks like New York. I mean, it looks like LA in the
mm,
90s. We got
mm-hmm.
like cars flipped over, buildings burnt down, schools canceled. It's all over the news. You know, it was a lot. And if you're an empath like me, I kind of did the same thing. I kind of went into straight up hermit mode. Like I didn't want to go outside for a long time. And then when I finally did, like I had a really hard time adjusting, but I was right there with you. It was hard. It was a hard
Mm-hmm.
time. And then everywhere you turn, it's just there.
Yeah, the repeating imagery.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like it was hard. And that's why I say like I definitely didn't have the capacity to have any,
Mm-hmm.
like I needed to talk to my people during that time.
Yeah.
And then because I needed people to understand the rage and the fear and the like genuine disbelief. I was like, so we
Mm-hmm.
genuinely just like live in this hellscape where like our people are like damn near just like hunted in the street, and then we're just supposed to like keep organizing and keep fighting, like, go to work. So yeah, it can be hard, but I will say that I eventually did have the capacity to have a conversation with my friend. Um, we had been friends at that point for like 10 years. So even though I was hurt and I, you know, at that time when we had the last conversation, which was kind of like the hair that broke the camel's back for me, because when I have a friend, I would never just end a friendship like off of like some stuff that I saw, or I don't know, maybe if I saw someone like burning a cross on a lawn, like maybe I'm not gonna ask questions. But I think for most in most cases, I'm gonna like have a conversation with my friend and just be like, hey, like what's going on? Because again, for me, it's about the principle. I can accept if someone's intentions and impact were different, like
Mm-hmm.
my intent and impact are different sometimes. But if we talk about it and it's still not, yeah, I'm gonna back up. I'm gonna take some space.
We're all just processing.
Yeah, and I think that's okay.
Like I just look at Angelica. She's like,
I know. I'm like, Angelica, I need you to tell me what your face is saying.
Okay. So this is where I have a hard time when it comes to intent versus impact. Um, because I understand that as a person, not everyone is self-reflective.
mm-hmm.
I can give about maybe this much grace for it.
Mhm.
In the matters of like racial stuff, that's that there's nothing to self-reflect about that. It's pretty much obvious. And not even just obvious to me because I'm a Black woman,
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's obvious.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
And at some point, it's like, yeah,
Yeah, because it's like, okay, so if
that's
they
literally
feel
how
if,
No,
just
I mean, we here to talk about it.
right.
I love not having any kind of grace for things like that. Like, yeah, why
and
would you?
and the thing is, okay, just like we have our upbringing, they have their upbringing, right? So how
Right.
can you reason with something that their grandmother taught them or their mother taught them? You see what I'm saying? Like, there's not,
Oh,
you can't,
I
you
absolutely hear
cannot.
you. Like,
Like,
for
who am I
me,
to argue with your grandmother?
Because you ain't. So nah,
I
man,
don't know.
I'm not.
I've never really had a grandma before, so I don't really know. I feel like I probably would argue with my grandma, but maybe I wouldn't. I don't know.
No, but it's like because
Yeah, I wouldn't. Okay.
I'm letting you know flat out, you wouldn't, baby.
you probably would. No, I mean, and honestly, Selena, I bring that up because it's like your friendship breakup is very similar to mine within my friend was a white woman and is a white woman. She's still alive, I'm sorry. Is a white woman and
She's dead to you.
not even that. I'm so anyway, no, she's a white woman, but it's
Mhm.
also like I'm aware of how you were raised, but I'm
Mhm.
also aware of how you were raised. Like you know better. And so when that came up, it wasn't even a matter of like, I mean, I was trying to be gracious because, I was, I'm still a believer, but I was really a believer at that time. And I was like, you know what? Jesus would want me to talk to you. But I also know my resolve was very much just like, I am not about to bend on this. This is, you were looking for a fight and you got a fight and got embarrassed.
Mhm.
That's why we're beefing right now. And
Mhm.
I said, I didn't even yell at you about this. It was the rest of the people. Right. And so it's like, she's come up in my brain a lot lately because sometimes people will still bring up that, because it was a Facebook post. And some people will still bring that up because it affected them a lot more than it affected me just because they know how long we were friends. And so they'll still bring it up or ask, how's she doing? And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. But because literally from that day, it wasn't even a matter of mourning because I knew that can't be my friend. Like if something, heaven forbid, were to happen to me, I know where you would stand. So no, I don't mourn that. I don't miss that. I'm not even gonna wish you well. Just go on about your business.
Yeah, no, that's deep.
You know what I'm saying? And so intent versus impact. I can understand for people on regular people stuff. That subject, not so much.
I don't know. And for me, it's like it's
You know?
definitely the subject. But for me, I also always kind of question the intent of white people. I don't think it's usually what they say it is. So I don't know. Maybe the conversation just become too deep at that point. But we all have to be responsible for ourselves and how we show up. If you want to be the special white person in your family who's gonna reject everything that everyone ever told you and like go find out who black people really are for yourself, then you need to be responsible for that. You know what I mean? Like, black people don't need to be responsible for you wanting to explore black people and see if they're who your grandma told you they are. That's not on us. So I really hear what you're saying. And it is kind of similar to what had happened in my friendship breakup. But for me, like, I also had some understanding because it wasn't just like, oh, people are black. It was like people weren't being paid and like, like other things were happening that is like, yes, those things are actual real issues. For me, I think sometimes it's like, when an issue occurs, how we respond to that issue is also affected by if the person who's the problem is black or not. You know what I mean? I think for me, it was like, I need you to also understand how you come at people when they've wronged you. Mm-hmm. And if you're being anti-black in that too. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's levels to this.
Yeah. Okay.
I think people got to be responsible. If you want to be friends with black people, if you just want to be go to Black events. Yesterday, I hosted a Juneteenth event celebration in the park, and there were a lot of non-Black people there. You know what I mean? Even if you want to share space with Black people, you need to understand the responsibility that comes with that, because you need to protect us too if you're in our space. And that's just what I wanted my friend to understand. And I was like, I don't got the capacity to explain that to you right now. But 2 years later, yeah, we totally sat down. And yeah, I was like, yeah, you had me fucked up. So that's what happened. And they were like, yeah, actually, I helped with that. I really had to reflect on, like, myself, and like my best friend, like, they've been around Black people their whole life. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you thought that you could treat Black people just like anyone else, and you actually can't.
You cannot.
Cannot.
Absolutely.
And like, I was like, I thought I raised you better than this. So like,
Have you
also
learned nothing at the cookout?
also to think about it too, though, is that if you have friends who are not Black and you are Black, having the vocabulary does not make you anti-Black. Right? Knowing all of the words to say, you go to Evergreen, I'm around Black people all the time, that does not bring the anti-racism, anti-Blackness lens off of your body, out of your mind. And it also can trigger things in your friendships.
period.
I just feel like if you're a white person and you want to know more about Black people and our culture and things like that, you want to befriend Black people, I feel like when you first come into that, this is a space to sit around the campfire. You need to sit around the campfire and just listen and figure out, like, okay, how can I add value to what's before me?
Mm-hmm.
Versus, adding things that you shouldn't be adding because you don't have any understanding. Your family hasn't gone through the things that we go through at all.
All up in the Kool-Aid, don't even know the flavor.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's wild out here.
No, my brain took it somewhere else, and I'm like, nope, she isn't there yet. Stay there.
No, where did your brain take it?
I'm curious. Has anyone here, and Lindsay, I think this might apply to you, have had a friendship breakup with someone who was Black?
Mine was with Black.
Okay.
Mine was Black also.
I don't know. The Black people, they kind of stay. Like, I've never had a friendship breakup with any of my Black girls. Like, have I been friends with Black girls?
I have.
Me and men, we don't go together so good. Like, I'm not good at upholding the things that men sometimes need to be upheld to be in relationship with them platonically. They also don't usually want to keep the relationship platonic, which I ain't mad at. I'm like, I get it, but it's like
Okay. You brought up something that I literally was thinking about before we pressed record. When it comes to friendship breakup with men. So was it like, if this has been your experience, was it over like unrequited love or like lust, whatever, pick one, or was it like a genuine, like, a betrayal, or like, has that been in anybody's experience? Like, I'm just curious.
I started trying to be friends with men like in high school. I'm gonna be so real. Like every like friend, because I actually like, I was just talking about white people who are like, oh, I'm gonna go find out who Black people really are. I was like, I'm gonna be friends with men because I know they truly have the capacity. That was me.
After that,
Down to my dumb ass over here trying to be friends with men. I didn't
know.
have good experiences.
I don't know. My experience, like, I stopped having male friends because I am in a relationship. So, I mean, I just never wanted it to get to that point, and my partner didn't want me to have male friends, and I kind of respected that. But when I had male friends, I had like a totally different experience. Like in high school, most of my friends were males, and they never crossed the line. They never even got to that point. Like I was legit one of the bros.
Mm.
So most of my friendship breakups were from women.
I mean, I've been one of the bros before too, but it's like even when you're a bro, they still want to have sex with you. Like it's just
I don't know. Well,
Oh,
maybe they respect me enough not to even, you know what I'm saying? Like even
yeah, and that was the
like
thing.
get it out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had guy friends like all of my guy friends that I've had like lasting relationships with, very respectful. Like we hang out. When we go out, they know to pay for everything, which is very important for me. Yeah, like you're not my guy friend if you don't know that you pay for everything when we go out. All my men's, all my dudes knew that. My husband never cared about me having guy friends. Actually, he was one of my guy friends for a while.
Oh wow.
But it's like I don't know. Like, I feel like I have had friendships in with men, and it was literally every single time because I want genuine friendships. Like, I want you to see me as a full, whole person. And, like, I genuinely feel like they struggle with that just because of their conditioning, upbringing. I don't know what they teach a man out here, but it's
I
not
feel
good.
like too, like this is something that my partner told me. Sometimes it be us, like in La La Land, initially when we're starting the friendship, like we'd be like, oh yes, I'm seeking a friend, but we've missed all the signs that said that they don't want to be a friend.
My
Like
mouth said that I was seeking friendship. I don't get the confusion.
no, like we say, okay, I want us to be friends. I want to be one of the bros, whatever you call it, right? But we miss the signs and the symptoms of they don't want to be friends, but they're gonna say they're friends. You see what I'm saying? We miss it because I missed it a few times, and I was like, I didn't even know. Like for instance, okay, so me and my partner we met on Facebook 15 years ago. It was like when Facebook just had became a thing outside of college, right? And so I'm like, oh yeah, because again, I only had male friends. So when I stepped into college, it was the same thing. I only had male
Mhm.
friends. So I'm like, oh yeah, this is another one of the bros. This man wanted me bad. The whole time. And I'm thinking, again, this is my friend. This is my friend. This man swept me off my feet. Now we're married. But that just goes to show like sometimes like our intentions aren't the same as their intentions and they're really good at hiding. Really
Mm.
good.
I'm hearing men are dishonest.
A little bit.
I mean,
It's a little tricky.
that's
I lucked
hilarious.
up. I'm so sorry.
No, but seriously, I did see that because like the type of friendships that I had with guys, like the reason why it would never be a relationship because I seen they're good, but I seen they're bad, like they're worst. Like why are y'all treating women like this? I would never even think bat an eye at you at all.
Yeah,
So,
and I think that gets in the way of friendship sometimes because I can't do a friendship like that. Like I do believe that all relationships require work. And so,
mhm,
they're saying if it's good, it won't be easy. If it's easy, or y'all know what I'm trying to say. There's that phrase.
mhm.
Um but at the same time I'm just like what you're describing sounds like just too much. Like, do you want to be friends or not? Like, you know what I
No,
mean?
like so we like to be straightforward, but they like a catch. They like to play games.
A bitch is caught.
We
So
don't
there's
like
no
that.
hope for a married woman to have a man friend. Like, that's real life.
Possibly.
I need y'all to tell me
A lot
something.
of I don't know because a lot of my friends that have husbands like they don't have male friends either, and I don't know if it's because I don't like to intrude because I feel like being married is a sacred space. So I try not to intrude, but none of them they don't have male friends either. So I don't know if that's just a thing for married folks or what.
Lindsay, tell me something, please.
So I'll be honest. One of my best friends, we're still friends to this day. He's
Mm-hmm.
man. He was actually supposed to be my man of honor, if you want
Mm-hmm.
to say it. Then,
Mm-hmm.
I husband. It was cool. Like I had the crush on him. I thought I was in love when we first met. He was in his 20s, I was in my 20s. As we've grown up, and I know who he is as a person. I've seen what he has done. I know all the stories, and so the
Yes.
infatuation for me was like, nah, I know who you are, right? But he
Right, because
loves
you get the real tea.
Yes, he loves me.
Mm.
I love him. But
And
right now, who I am as a person, no, he doesn't want me, and I don't want him. We just be chilling.
I get that.
Okay.
Because you know the real them, like when they really consider you as their bro or whatever, like you be like a little bit disgusted, like, wow, I did not know you were this kind of person when it comes to these women. This is insane. But it's also nice too because we are women, so they have a little trust in us, so we're able to add some value. Like they may not get it right the first time, but we've planted some seeds so that they can grow. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's
I
just
don't
my
know.
experience.
I don't know. Angelica, your face been saying a lot.
A whole lot.
So hi.
Girl, you can never tell. She can never tell no lies. Both
Yeah,
on
she
her face.
I think it's because I've been on both sides of like have male friends and then don't have male friends. Or having male friends who literally are like, that is my homie brother versus versus it's like you have male friends if given the opportunity, both of us are smashing, right? I'm a very big advocate of just like have your damn self-control.
Mhm.
Okay. I've a good amount of my male friends, and I've got strong men in my circle, would probably entertain the idea, but again, because we're grown and we're also understanding the value that actual friendship has, we
Mhm.
don't even play with it. I personally feel, and I've had this conversation with a current male friend. He's booed up right now, which is great. I feel like if certain men and certain people would really benefit with having a platonic female friend and how they navigate life
Mhm.
and like their relationships. And so I guess like my stance has always been different in that sense of just like, yeah, just as long as you know what's going on and your intent is to not go there and you actually have like boundaries set, you should be fine. You should be fine. And the fact of the matter is like as you mentioned before, like some guys don't want to hold that space. And it's just like, well, you're about to suffer for it. And so yeah, that's all. That was just my thoughts.
All right.
Just my thoughts. Anyway.
I'm just saying we wouldn't have this male loneliness situation going on if men were great friends, but I'm gonna leave it alone. Um, where has the healing come in for y'all?
Oh my
Sorry.
god.
Anyway.
Because I know with me and my friendship breakup, like the 2 years that we didn't talk, I was going through a lot of personal healing, reflection. I was journaling, I was meditating, I was sunbathing nude, which if you
Hey.
have not sunbathed nude before, you need to do. That is healing as well. What helps you heal through your friendship breakups?
So for me, um, my friendship breakup was also like a childhood friend. Like we've been friends for a long time, like since the sandbox. And I realized that we had, after reflecting, we had slowly been growing apart anyway. I just didn't realize that, we were both very interested in different things. We were, even though we're best friends, like when we're not with each other, the crowds that we're with, the activities that we do is
Mm-hmm.
very different. And I didn't realize that because I'm a friend that's very loyal and I
Mm-hmm.
accept people for who they are.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize who she was did not align with who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no way for us to maintain a friendship because we had nothing in common anymore. Our morals weren't the same anymore. By the time we were like 19, I was like, oh my gosh, our morals aren't even the same. How do we have a friendship and we don't have the same morals anymore?
That's big.
You don't have anything in common.
Y'all, I remember we went on this group trip, this girls trip, and there was like a girl that I was thinking about being friends with. And the way she was like up in the club being carried around and making out with some guy that was not her fiance. And none of us could be friends with her after that. We're like, we don't do that. We respect our men. The way you talking about them is also kind of weird.
Oh no.
Yeah, morals have
Because
to
if you
align.
don't respect the person that you're literally sleeping with,
What chance do I have?
I don't have a chance. I have no chance. I've never understood people that would be like in these groups with a person that's just completely doing a whole bunch of integrity compromising type of things, especially when it comes to their partner. Because what do you think that they're doing to you behind your back when you're not present, when you're not in the room? Go ahead.
Nope. Again, my brain is going. I think I might be. It doesn't matter. What? It's a question I want to present. But I want you to go ahead and finish because you asked us a question about how did we heal. So I'll ask that after the fact.
Okay.
Well, anyhow, I didn't even tell you how I healed. So from that situation, I just had to do like a lot of heavy reflection and understanding like, okay, how did we get to this point of this grand argument? And I had to take it back. First of all, I had to like let all the emotions out of it first and write it down in journal. And then I had to go back through everything that I wrote in that journal and add the logic and like, oh, okay, this makes sense. I just missed a lot of stuff. And I gave a lot of grace and I ignored a lot of red flags. So that's how I was able to reflect. And I really encourage everyone to be journaling on a regular basis because it really, if had I not journaled, I wouldn't have been able to put those pieces together at all. I wouldn't have been able to put it together. So.
Anybody else want to answer the how did you heal or how are you healing question? Oh, okay. Y'all say y'all ain't healing. That's okay too.
No, it's not even that. It's just it was. I think because with that particular individual, that wasn't a matter of healing because again, to me, it was black and white. There's nothing to heal
from. Literally.
You know what I'm saying? Quite literally, right? It's so I was just like, fuck out of here, But I think, and this is, I'm going to kind of tell on myself, but it's fine. We're healed. It was like a friendship that turned into a situationship that lasted for like 3 years, right? And I have no problem, at least at the time, ending things when things needed to end, just with whomever it is. Like that is like, if it's going to end, it's going to end. It is what it is. I'll take care of my emotions, whatever. Who cares? That, not who cares, but I know how to at least handle that at the time. I think what was devastating about it was how they went about ending things. And I internalized that in the sense of just like, okay, all else, how, at the bottom line, we were friends first. And we, at least at the time, had respect for each other. Why would you like not be on, like, out of respect, just be honest about how stuff was going, you know what I'm saying? How stuff was going down or how stuff was going to change. And that was probably like my biggest like wound, because it was like, just for me, it was just, again, a matter of respect or lack of respect for my presence, for my, all that stuff. And so that was the way I healed. That was a lot of time in for lack of a better term, a shroom trip.
Mm-hmm.
And it was honestly like the first time I ever had shrooms, but it was like shroom
Everyone
candy.
should.
But
Yeah.
instead of like being like, oh my God, I'm high, like some people were talking. And so I had to literally just sit down, and whatever came up, came up. And that individual came up, and me and the God and the creator had a conversation about that. And it was literally a matter of release, because it wasn't even a matter of just like, oh my God, I just missed my penis. That wasn't it. That was my friend. That was my buddy, And so, yeah, that particular friendship breakup was a matter of finally acknowledging how hurt my feelings actually were, and shroom trip of just, we're gonna be all right.
Yeah, man, those shroom trips for healing, they can really open some doors.
Mm-hmm. So
Have you exploring emotions you had locked away for a long time.
wow.
But I love to hear it. I love to hear this thread of like also journaling and reflection.
Yes.
I hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, journaling really saved the day because when I was younger, I didn't really make that many female friends. So to have my first female friend breakup was a lot for me. Like she said, I had to acknowledge the pain. Because mind you, I've been hanging around boys. Boys don't talk about emotions. That's not a thing. So
I found out after a while that my guy friends only actually talked about their relationships and stuff when I was there, because I would ask them. My husband would be like, when you're not here, we never talk about any of this stuff.
Like, are y'all friends, or is this like a surface friendship? What's happening? Like, they don't talk about anything deep, like hardly ever. But it was really hard to even bring it up to them. Like, my mom also wasn't really too much in tune with her emotions, so I had to like deal with this by myself, and that was hard.
Yeah.
It was really hard, and it was hard to like. I kept trying to act like, oh no, I'm good, and I was like distraught, literally boo-hoo distraught. Like, this is my one girlfriend. This is the first person my mom even let me spend a night over their house. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many different memories where it was like she was the first to do those things with. So it was really tough, but I knew that I had grown past where she was, and where I was going, she couldn't go because she didn't want to go. So,
When you asked about like how did you heal from it, the reason why I was quiet, because I had to go back deep, right? Like on the part is like, because at that time when our friendship was breaking up, my marriage was breaking up. And also when my marriage was breaking up, I had lost a coworker because he had just lost his mom, and I loved his mom. So literally after we buried his mom, we buried him, and then no, we buried a young person first because they committed suicide. Then we buried his mother, and then we buried him. I think all within a month span.
oh
And
my God.
I went to I looked up this therapist. I was like, I need a Black woman who's gonna see me and hear me. So I went to the therapist, and I sat there and I said, I'm gonna die if you don't help me. And she looked at me and she goes, well, what do you mean? I said, I'm gonna kill myself. Like, there was just so much going on. But what happened is I started going to therapy, and I got a mentor, Lotus, and she was based out of Tacoma. And I started putting the pieces together. That's how I realized that I was treating my best friend as my husband. And me breaking up with her was really figuring out how to find a connection to myself. It Our relationship didn't end because, of just her. It ended because I needed it to end so that way I could focus on how I can heal myself.
That makes sense.
And
Yeah,
I
that's so
miss her.
real.
I miss her. I miss her family. I miss the life that we had. I wish we could have met during who I am now. and
Mm-hmm.
not who I was then, because I don't want to say I was weak, but I was hurting and I was broken.
Yeah.
And the person I am today is not hurt. I still hurt. I'm not in that place of walking around and letting things consume me and control me. I do have moments like every human being, but she was never the issue. I was the issue. I was
Mm.
the issue because I was in a place of brokenness and I could not have her fill up my cup, and it wasn't healthy for her and it wasn't healthy for me.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, Lindsay, you got your girl deep in her feelings right now because, like, first of all, yes, it was me too. Like, what do you mean? It was. Like, I really had to, like, take a look at my part in things. And I think that's really hard to do sometimes, especially when it's like, it's painful and, like, they hurt me and, like, you know what I mean? But, like, when you said the broken part, I'm like, oh my God, I used to tell my therapist, like, when I first started therapy, which was in I want to say I started therapy in 2019. After literally 5 years of trying to find a therapist, I found one. And when I first met with her, I was like, I literally have a sad, broken child inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I was doing all this stuff to pretend that there wasn't one there, but like the sad, broken child is not letting me ignore it anymore. And I had to literally learn how to reparent the sad, broken child inside of me so that it wasn't sad or broken anymore. And that is such a process. And I didn't want to take responsibility at first about how I was creating my life because I didn't want that power yet. I needed to believe that my life was what it was because of other people, not me. I needed to be the innocent little baby for a sec. But as I grew in my self-reflection and self-love, like I really started to take my power back in every situation that I was in every relationship I was in. I needed to take my power and say, how did I end up here? How did I allow myself to end up here? Acknowledging my power because I can prevent this from ever happening to me again.
Oh,
Huge.
man, that's
Life
so
change.
powerful. What you just said, that is so powerful. I feel that to the depths of my spirit because when I started therapy, I went in there, I was like, oh, I'm about to tell her everything they did to me, right? And the first thing, I was like, she did this, my mom did this, he did it. I had a list. I was like, what? I just tell her everything, right? And as I'm telling her everything, she's like, okay, so they probably were at fault for XYZ. But what did
Mm-hmm.
you do in that situation? How could you prevent that? Because you gave them a little bit of your power. Each of these situations, you gave them the power to do those things to you. You gave them the leeway to do these things. And I was just like sitting there stunned, like, what? How dare you? And I got a session and I was like, no, right? This is crazy. I'm just out here handing out power like candy.
Literally, I was like, well, I don't want to talk about recent stuff no more. I want to go back to when I was a kid where I know that they was wronging me.
You
Get,
Yeah.
get you a therapist though who treats you kind of like. So this is why I do Black therapists, because yeah,
Mm-hmm.
also she's my mentor, she my auntie, she my mama, in different aspects of reparenting myself. She has shown, like, when I have literally said no one loves me, and I remember her stopping what she was doing, and she looked at me and she goes, "Do you truly believe that?" I said, "Absolutely." And she goes, "That's not true." And you want to know how I know that? And I said, "How do you know this?" And she goes, "Because I love you." And I was like, "You're gonna make me cry though, right?" But she was able to see me as a Black woman who needed love at that moment, and not like, how did that make you feel, how
Mm-hmm.
did this do, like, and or start putting blame on everything around you, but actually having an inner work, like, look at you, see you as a person.
I feel that. Like, and another thing that I like about my therapist is like probably like 2 decades older than me. So she's seen it all and done it all probably 3 or 4 times at this point. And when I'm telling her, it's just nice to know that she's not reading from a textbook. She's lived what I'm talking about. She's gone through that. She knows the feeling of going through that betrayal or that hurt or, whatever. She knows because she's experienced it firsthand. And when I had my white therapist, it was just so hard because I feel like I had to start pretty much this is where I was born. To start when you're a newborn. But when you have a black therapist, you can tell them right where you're at and they can just start from there.
Real.
Wow.
Girl, I dropped that white therapist so fast, and I feel like I'm getting more upset than I was before I got here because I'm explaining stuff if I feel like it should make sense. You know what I'm saying? You're not black, so you don't get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't have a white therapist until my third therapist, but I will actually say that I kind of fuck with her, just a little bit.
Shout out to her because
literally, because girl, look, this is actually so funny. Let me tell y'all this story. Me and my husband, we are ever since I started therapy, I'm such a therapy girly. I was like, babe, let's do therapy. So we're in couples therapy too. And the white therapist is our couples therapist.
Mm-hmm.
So my husband's Native American Mexican. Why neither one of us trusted her? In the first meeting was both of us just stone faced as hell. It wasn't until the end of that first session where it was well, I guess she could stay. And it just is what it is. They gotta understand this. Black people aren't wary of white people because, we don't like the side of the street that they walk on. Okay, so let's just be real. Should we wary of them because being on the side of the street they ain't on kept us alive. Now I do want to ask y'all though, because we went through it with this friendship breakup episode. I feel like I even, and I always do, so I don't know why I'd be so surprised every time, but I'm I learned so much. There were so many gems of wisdom that I was able to get from all of y'all. But is there anything else that still needs to be said? Angelica, I know your face may have something else.
I want to hear the question, Angelica.
How?
I want to hear the question.
Your face is so expressive, girl.
I'm gonna finish the episode just like that. I don't know. I don't know. It's I don't know. Literally, that's where I'm at. I don't know what more I could add just because my brain is in at least 5 different places on this subject, just because it's there's so many layers, especially when it comes to friendships. Platonic, romantic, regardless, all of it. There's just so many layers. And so I'm going to let y'all lead the prompts because my brain is whew.
Yeah, I like it. When you said that, I was oh my God, I love that you said the romantic part of friendships because we don't talk about that enough.
Okay.
And friendships are so romantic. I'll be the first one to say it. All my friendships are romantic. All of my relationships will include some degree of romance. I'm just a very romantic person. So it just is what it is.
Yeah, I'm with you, sis. I'm a hopeless romantic for sure. Literally.
Yeah.
My friends,
me and my bestie were
my friends
were afraid on the airplane. Oh, I'm sorry, Rashwanda. Go ahead.
I said when my friends have bad days, I literally send them flowers.
Yes. I was holding hands on the airplane with my girl because we're both kind of scared.
Yes. I date friends.
Yep. Friend dates. Yep.
I do buy you flowers. Are you having a bad day? Let me send you dinner. I probably treat my friends better than I treat men I date.
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna have to talk about that.
I just thought about that. That just came out loud. But if you knew, that's a whole different conversation. We're gonna stop.
I think because I'm almost there with you because I'm one of those that I've done friendship very well as an adult or just in my life. Like that is the one thing I did get right. The romantic relationship part, not so much, and I don't know why, but it's fine. We're gonna work through that. But I will say, like, I'm grateful for my friends because they do make it hard, challenging, I'll say, for just anybody to date me just because of how well they treat me.
Absolutely.
Like I wish I could make the transition from like the regular platonic to romantic and let it last, but I mean, it'll happen when it happens. But for the most part, I'm grateful for my circle of friends who like they literally keep me. And I wish a lot of people could experience that, especially in this lifetime. And because if we did, we wouldn't have the loneliness epidemic. That is a thing. And you just would be better people with you're a better person when you have people around you who genuinely love you. You know?
Yeah.
And so that's my take.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm kind of right with you. I have a very small circle of people. And I think only one of them two of them live in Washington State. That's it, two. And so there's about four or five of us that that are separate, but they all of me have a special place in my heart, and
Yeah.
also my family. They really be treating me like, and that's how I'm actually learning how to date. Right? Is
Right.
because that my friends are treating me is the way that I need these men to treat me. I you know what, girl, my friend for my birthday, she literally had a makeup artist got me a massage, and my hair was already done, and we had a photo shoot, and then she took me out to dinner, and then like she celebrated the hell out of me, right? And that's what my friendships need to be like. I want to live a soft life.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what Lindsay needs. I need softness, and so my friends are teaching me how to be soft, and I don't have to be strong and carry all those pieces. So even though like some of my friendships broke up, I want them to know like they actually helped bring a version of me to other folks that I can now show who I want to be. And also, there's no right or wrong person in all of this. They're just human beings who were hurt, and we just have to move through the hurt and build from it.
I like that stance. I can take that stance.
It's definitely a mature one.
I was gonna say, I like that too. I feel like even though I've had to go through a lot of harsh heartbreaks, each of those heartbreaks has built me up into like the better version of myself and better relationships that are more aligned with who I am. I have a different understanding about like what a relationship consists of. It's not just me. You know what I'm saying? Like there's something that you have to give back. There's like boundaries we got to set in place so that we can protect this safe space that we built together.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes. Like I always think of like the relationship is a thing. You know, like there's me, there's you, and then there's our relationship. So it's definitely something that we have to like be pouring into and make sure we're both benefiting from. Which is how I also try to structure me. I'm such a Virgo. I'm like, this is how I structure my friendships. But I do try to, you know. And Lindsay, when you were saying the small circle thing, like that actually really models my journey with friendship. I used to like just want to be friends with everybody. I really had to learn the phrase you can't be everything to everybody. But once I did, like the circle did get smaller, but the quality increased,
Yeah.
right? So like that's what we really want. We want those soft relationships, community, village. Like the friends that I have now, like we like ready to buy that compound. You know what I mean? Like we're somewhere that I never thought I would be. I was always trying to force relationships that I felt like I should have this relationship. I should be able to be on this level with this person. But a lot of times, like, I couldn't have the relationship that I wanted with people that I wanted to have it with. And so I had to learn how to have the relationships that I knew I wanted to have, and then just find the people willing to have those relationships, the
Mm-hmm.
ones that are open and transparent and uplifting. And not everybody even wants to have those kind of relationships. So, you
Yeah.
know?
You know what else? Like, I feel like I learned more about like what I wanted in a relationship with each of those breakups.
Mm-hmm.
I knew like what I wanted in those relationships. I knew like what I wanted to give in those relationships, and I knew like what type of things I wanted to receive. I knew what type of things were just like there's like a zero tolerance for this situation or this thing. So, I mean, it did hurt going through it, but I'm grateful that I got to learn like different parts of myself so that I can figure out like how to show up better in my relationships.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. Well, I feel like we done said something. So at this point, I just need the people to know where they can find y'all, to hear more, to work with you, to hire you. Where can people find you, Angelica?
You can find me on my website at www.barksdalejonesphotos.com. And I'm on Instagram with my personal page. It's Miss Angelica Marie. I post a lot of blackity black stuff, pretty black woman in flowy dresses, soft life things, because why not?
Of course. I love it. I'm gonna
We
have
all need more of it in our lives.
Yeah.
Yes, Rashwanda, where can the people find you?
to child but no, but you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, I think Twitter, I think all the social TikTok, but it's piecesofcandies.com. That's where you can find all of my content that shows empowering women. So I do a lot of that. And yeah, that's pretty much like I try to put everything there because I had so many pages and I'm like, I can't even keep up with all this. So I was like, let me just put it all on these pages, but you'll see a lot of women in my jewelry in empowering spaces. I'm getting ready to actually, I'm a movie director too, so that's on the list. But I'm actually producing a web series called Principles of the Principal. Have you guys seen Abbott Elementary?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of similar to Abbott Elementary, but it's like more of the high school version. So it's less clean. But it's going to be a good time. I'm super excited about it. But we are on Instagram, Principal of the Principal.
Okay, come on, director's credit. That's amazing. I literally want to be a director one day. It's just like one of the random things I want to do. I want to do almost every amazing thing. So,
I feel that.
shout out to you. Definitely go find her and support that project, y'all. Lindsay.
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, Lindsay_Irene. I do plus size modeling. I'm trying to get into the content creation game. So, Angelica, we need to connect. And then I also do public speaking and I plan events. So, if you need support in any community capacity, paid or unpaid, I'm usually the person to come to.
Yes, y'all find these ladies. It sounds like social media wise, they're in all of the familiar places. So go find them, book them, work with them, partner with them. You can also do the same for me. You can find me on social media at Hot Girls Healing Podcast. And girl, I felt what you said, because the way I refuse to make any additional social media pages. Like it's all on Hot Girls Healing Podcast. Personal, travel, professional, all in one space. And also, for the Hot Girls Healing community, I found fake pages recently. So make sure you're following the right page, not the fake ones. Which also kind of made me feel like I made it, or like I had built a brand. But like, don't, you guys, no, don't do that to whoever made those pages. But y'all, thank you so much for joining us again. I'm Salenna Green, host of the Hot Girls Healing Podcast. Thank you so much to all my amazing panelists. And y'all, I will see you back on the next episode. Bye.
See ya.
our way.
Hot girls healing.
We better day by day.
Hot girls healing.
We doing it our way.
Hot girls healing.
And it goes on and on. And when